ever, the professional Claire Harvey-May. Good evening, everyone. Sorry about that. As you can imagine, you're always, just before a live, you're always thinking about the buttons, the process, the things you have to mention, the producing, and yeah, funnily enough, I always get it wrong. Welcome to the May edition of Ask Me Anything. We really love these monthly sessions where you can literally come on and ask us anything. We've got a cute little team tonight. I'm going to jump straight in because guess what? It's me and Tito. Hey, Tito.
Hi, Claire. How are you? Hello, everyone. How are you doing?
Yay. So, yes, I was telling the viewers that they have the pleasure of just you and I tonight. So, you know, I mean, this is amazing, isn't it? As you know, I love doing these shows. I always think it's really funny, and it's just you and me. So we've got a lot to do between us, Tito, but we will manage, right? We will manage.
Yeah, no problem. We are professionals and we know how it works perfectly. Today is a very, very nice topic, a very good theme, photographic gender. I love it because I love hiking. I love photography. I love the mountains. So we will enjoy, and I hope we will be able to answer all of the questions of our users. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are, and we are ready for you.
I love it. So if you have a question, and obviously we choose a theme so that we can at least sort of, gravitate around a theme. The theme is hiking. The theme has been hiking for the whole of May. It was hiking May. If you saw my live a couple of nights ago with one of our fairly new UK ambassadors, Ben Barendrecht. He is a professional hiker, and it was amazing to see his images of Scotland, and I could have talked to him a lot. There were so many things we didn't get to ask him. So if you have any questions for Tito and I, please drop them in the comments. And we've got a lot to talk about. Firstly, I want to announce that OM System brand new website is live. There are, it's early days. We're still waiting to see if everything's perfect, because obviously this has been being built for something like 2 years or whatever. It's been a project. It's a long project, but it is live, and it means that we'll be able to do lots of things with a brand new website. So I had a quick look a couple of times, and it looks all great to me. So, if you ever do see any mistakes or weird things, just DM the social team. Help us along the journey to get it all perfectly working and perfectly looking amazing.
No problem. We are among friends. We are family. So we will handle it. We will manage it perfectly. No problem.
Absolutely. So let's have a few hellos while we're warming up. Deborah is in from Nebraska. Hey, Deborah, lovely to see you. We have Long Island and New York. I still want to go there. One of the places on my list. I've never been to New York. And that's Deirdre. Wilder. Hello, Wilder. You were on the other night from Munich. Lovely to see you. And Stephen says it's a bit drafty here in Bedfordshire tonight. It's very windy. I don't know if you've had the winds out there, Tito, what the weather's like in Spain, but it is very windy here in the UK, so it's very fun. We got hello from Tim. Lovely to see you, Tim, in Phoenix. We've got Michigan, San Francisco, Denmark, Dorset. I always look and think, wow, what an amazing audience when they're from across the world. And I know that's because we've got this English speaking channel, but obviously when you do your lives, you do yours in Spanish, don't you, Tito, when you're going to your home audience? But it's lovely to have this big broad audience from all over the world, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And this for me is very, very challenging, because I can understand English and I can speak English, but obviously it's not the same when I host my episodes, my YouTube episode in Spanish is much easier for me. But it's challenging, but it's also really, really exciting because I learn a lot, and because we have an audience from worldwide, from every corner in the world. I learn a lot of idioms. I learn a lot of photographic topics from our different users. So I enjoy very much.
Yes, and I know it's such a challenge for all of you guys, for PJ, for you, not so much for Tom, but like you say, it's not your first language, and we really do appreciate how you help out and how you. So I'll ask the questions really slowly today, right? A couple of notes, obviously, about promoting the brand new website. We do still have our cashback. You have 2 days left. 30 days, have September, April, June. Yes, 2 days left. There is up to £400 off the OM1 series. You have £100 off the OM5. Across the pond in the US, it's instant save. And we'll talk a little bit more about lenses as we go down, but the bodies, sorry about that, the dogs are coughing. But as I said, cashback is on for 2 more days only. Okay, let's get into some questions. Because as I said, I end up talking and then we never do anything. Good, interesting question from Wilder says, OM has an internal filter, but when hiking in the mountains, do you take the CPL filter along? So the CPL filter,
circular polarizer.
Yeah, your standard circular polarizing filter. So
yeah, I will say, Claire, this is the only filter I take with me when I go when I go outdoor, because now we have ND filter, we have GND filters, but we don't have yet polarizer filter built in the camera. So yeah, I take the circular polarizer filter with me to combine with the internal filters with the camera.
Yeah, I mean, and it is the polarizing, because UV is just a protector, really. I mean, it says it cuts out UV light, but it doesn't cut out as much as you require. You still get, bursts of shade, but for sure, a CPL filter is the filter of filters, right?
Yeah, Claire, and also I would say the effect of the polarizer when we are when we want to get silky water or clouds, because of the reflection, you change the reflection with the polarizer, the final result also changes. So it's really helpful when we use the ND or the GND filter combined with polarizer.
Yeah. Stephen Hewitt's asked a question about the website. Can we still log in with the same details? I really hope so, Stephen. I really hope so. I would say yes. As I said, 2 years in the building. I'm sure it's not absolutely perfect. Please report any weird things you find. But yes, I think the answer with that one is completely okay.
Yeah, I'm sure, Claire. I did it. I logged in with my details, and I have had no problem with the new web address. No problem.
Good stuff. Right. Okay. We have a question from E. Wilson. I recently upgraded to the OM1 from the EM1. Can you provide some tips on the GND feature and when you might use this? Yes, absolutely. I mean, the GND feature, again, like ND, is a revolution. I mean, we are known for innovation, and this one is fantastic, isn't it? When we went to the Gredos Mountains a couple of years ago, Tito, we had that amazing plain white sky with lots of detail of rock, and all you needed was a bit of information coming back into the sky, and it really, really showed. Do you want to plug in an OM1 and put the GND on for me? So basically, I don't know where you're based, E. Wilson, but if you look out of the sky now, in fact, there's a little bit of definition out there, but when there's no definition in the sky, those very sort of British days where they're sort of fairly plain, not blue, not black, but they're sort of grey and flat, it really is a fantastic way of boosting the definition in the background. So Tito's going to show you how it looks on the screen.
Yeah, I'm using the OM1 Mark II. If you see, I have my camera customized. So in the C3, you see I'm working in manual mode, and I have assigned the Live ND and the Live GND filter to buttons. I have the front buttons in the camera. In this ones, let me show you. This is the OM1. We have 2 buttons there. I have Live GND, Live ND here, and I will work with them. When I press the button, because Live GND is really tricky to work with dials. So when I press the button, I activate. You see, I have activated the Live GND, and I can move up and down the horizon, the line. I can move the point where the filter will leverage, because when I use the dials, you see I can rotate in one way and another way, very big jumps or small jumps. If I press the button, the OK button, and I hold it, I will reset it. But the trick I'm going to show you is, because of I'm using the dials to move the filter, you see, what happens, the image, the scene is now very dark. If I want to change the aperture, or I want to change the shutter speed, I press the button again, and the function of the dials will change. Now I can move the aperture, and I can select the new shutter speed. And once I get the right light, I press the button again, and I will go back to the dials to use the filter as it is. And the question is, how do I go out from the filter? I just need to press the button and hold it for a couple of seconds, and I will go out. That's the trick.
Nice. So you actually add the GND to either your stop down button or your white balance button, and that allows like quick easy access on and off, but also allows you, when you switch it off again, for those dials to then become the shutter speed and the aperture, or shutter speed and or aperture, whatever you want those dials to be, maybe aperture compensation, whatever. And that quickly, like you say, allows you to switch it on and off, because it is something that you should switch on and off, isn't it? Otherwise, if you're spending all time looking for it in the menu, obviously you do have the My Menu option, where you could put it into My Menu and then choose in the camera, when you press menu on the back of the camera, that you actually get the My Menu straight away. So you can have that option as well. But for sure, it's actually better to assign it to a button. It's much easier to use. There you go, live shooting, and you can add that to the button. So there's options there as well. Okay. Thanks, Tito. Come back to me. That's it.
Thank you.
Hey, there he is. There he is. Okay. Question from Wilder. When taking landscape pictures, when would you use high res and when not? For landscape, I would say, from my opinion, you don't really want lots and lots and lots of things moving. So, if you've got cars, or if you've got traffic, or if you've got something moving quite fast in that, it does take a second for that to happen, depending on which mode you're in high res, even, the sort of faster shutter speed. So basically a more still image. What would you say, Tito?
Yeah, I love high res, and I love whatever function where we stack images. And high resolution images are, in fact, they are stacked images. We have two, as you know, we have two modes, handheld and also tripod. And besides we get more resolution, we get many more pixels, we will also improve the ISO 9, we will improve the dynamic range, and we will improve also the color. When we decide to use the high res or not, I will recommend to use it in the landscape. I will recommend to use it every time, unless you, for example, if you are using the tripod mode, anything can be moved in the scene. If it is too windy, we will probably get in trouble to stack the images. But also we have the handheld. Why I will suggest to use high res every time? Because of all of the improvements I told you before. And also you will get, if you decide to shoot JPEG plus RAW, you will get 3 files. Those 3 files, you will have the JPEG, the ORF, which is the RAW file, the biggest resolution file, and another one with the extension of ORI, which means this is the first 20 megapixels image from the sequence. So you have 20 megapixels file, and you have 80 or 50 megapixels file. If you rename the ORI to ORF, you can process the RAW file as a regular RAW file in one shot. That's great. So if you don't need so much resolution, you can use the ORI file. But I will suggest that high resolution images from both tripod or handheld has an additional improvement, additional advantages than only megapixels.
And the thing about high res, I mean, do you remember when we first launched it? I think it was on the EM1X. Maybe.
Yes.
I can't remember
Yes.
now. And basically, you know, the tripod version moved in half pixel increments, but that took 12 seconds to actually process. So was it 12 seconds?
We launched the EM1X. We launched for the first time the handheld high res.
Yeah.
Did you say that? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So no, the tripod version came on the
EM5 Mark II.
EM5 Mark II. Yeah. And you know, it was quite a slow process. So it's come so far, this computational side of R&D, you know, where the cameras have been, where the cameras features have been, and where they are now, which is just a few years. The speed, the fact that you can now do them handheld, you know, the fact that you get these huge files and you know, you don't need a tripod. I mean, I remember trying it the first time and a sheep walked through, and the sheep basically had 8 legs, you know, or 16 legs, because it walked through my image. Whereas now, because the shutter speeds are much faster, you know, it works brilliantly handheld. I love it, absolutely love it. So and good on those 3 files.
Yeah, exactly. The main difference for those who doesn't know is the tripod mode. The camera will move the sensor, and it will move 8 times the sensor, and the cool time for the high res shot is 1 second as fastest, because it has to move the sensor. But in the handheld mode, the camera doesn't move the sensor. The camera takes advantage of your movement. And because we can shoot 120 frames per second, even we can use high-res shot for portraits, for example.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, it's really changed. It's the same with focus stacking and macro and landscape. You know, some of those features can be, although we talk about focus stacking primarily for macro, because obviously OMSystem is the best macro camera in the world, full stop. But actually for landscape, we were talking about this the other night, focus stacking for landscape is incredibly amazing. You know, you get that beautiful depth of focus from front to back, and all the detail and all the quality, and our ambassador uses that. Let's talk about it.
That's a sample. This is a focus stacking in the landscape, because of we needed, this is from Photo Moisho, our ambassador, Spanish ambassador. And he uses a lot of the live ND, the focus stacking. He's a landscape photographer and a hiking photographer. And in this case, if you want to have the leaf in the front, in the forefront focus, and you also want to have the background in focus, probably you will need a you have to stop down the up. You say stop down or stop up?
Stop down.
A high F number.
Yes. Stop down. Yeah.
Okay. I have resources. I don't speak English, but I have resources. Well, and if you don't get enough depth of field in one shot, you can stack several images and you get the deeper depth of field than in one shot. Yeah. And because of we can shoot so many images in 1 second, 50, 25, 120, it doesn't matter. We don't care if we have to stack handheld, because we can do it. We don't need a tripod. This image is no filter, no physical filter, and no tripod.
Yeah, that's I mean, stunning, absolutely stunning, absolutely beautiful. Okay, let's take another question. David Choate says, heading to the Colorado Rockies, which sounds amazing, in July. We'll be shooting landscapes and astrophotography. Can you give me any tips on lenses? I have 2 OM1s and several lenses, and also converted to infrared and OMD1. That's so cool, David. Now, firstly, thank you for being part of our family. Looks like you bought lots of bits. It's really interesting, the question about lenses. It depends on weight. It depends on, I mean, if you're only going for photography and you're parking right there and you can take all the lenses you want and you can just go to the car and, you know, then obviously you're going to take the brighter, bigger lenses. But if you're hiking and you're taking 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 kilometers away from, you know, the carrying, then it is always down to weight. But let's look at a few, shall we? Tito, what's your first recommendation if you were heading to the Rockies and you only had one lens to take? One lens, which would it be?
Yeah, that's not easy because what kind of nightscape are you going? Because are we talking about the Milky Way and you want the stars like points, or are you going to shoot star trails? Or before we launched the A225 f4 lens, the 7-14 mil f2.8 lens was our nightscape lens by excellence. It was our best one. And now I will say, if you want Milky Ways, if you want stars, let me show you something. If you want this, this one, if you want stars like points, this is an 8-25.
Yeah, I was going to say 8-25.
Yeah, and also you can take advantage of the starry sky. We have the automatic autofocus for the stars, and camera can focus the stars. But if you need shorter, you need shorter exposure times because you want if the night is too dark, I will say the 7-14 mils lens is more for the night. In the 8-25 is more for the day, or for sunset, or for sunrises. Yeah. That's my opinion. And for night, if you can, I will bring the 7-14 with me.
Yeah,
because
and the other thing is, both
things. Yeah,
if you've got space, as in if you don't need the 7-14, then the 17 mil f2 is super bright. It's our widest at that aperture. I mean, wouldn't it be nice to have a 12 1.2? But hey, that's just a dream in my heart. But the 17 1.2, although isn't as wide as the 7-14, is super, super bright for nighttime, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there are options, David, options. But I would say, you know, think about the weight, think about the aperture. The 7-14 is a bit heavier than the 8-24. Mm-hmm. The 8-25, the 8-25 is a fairly lightweight lens, f4. But of course, it's great for video as well because you're at the 50 mil point. So it's the sort of standard lens at the other end. It's a nice focal length, the 8-25. It can be used for lots of different things. So, I mean, again, if it's weight, you could take the tiny, tiny little 9-18. But the problem with the little 9-18 is, I mean, it could be a bit slow at the 18 end at 5.6. So again, you might want something faster. But again, it's always going to be down to budget. It's going to be down to, you know, what you've got already in your sort of threshold. As Tito says, the 7-14 is super, super bright. So I think it's a balance of all those things. What are you taking in the bag? How far are you away from your car? Are you there cozy so you've got everything to hand? Or are you hiking? You know, we talked the other night to Ben about hiking, and he said, you know, the camera has to be, you know, 5 to 10% maximum. Every gram counts when you're hiking for 1 to 2 days at a time. So yeah, that's going to be one to talk about. Tito, tell me about your hiking journey. Where do you like to go hiking?
Why I love hiking? Because when I was young, my family, when I was a child, I was born in Madrid, you know, but I went. All my family, my ancestors are from Gredos. You know Gredos in Spain. Yeah, we did a content trip there. And this is there are mountains. We have snow there. We have goats. We have birds. We have everything. During when I was a child, till I was 17, 18, I went over there every month, every vacation, in Christmas, in Easter. So I lived the mountains very much. And also when I was in the army, when I was a bit older, when I was in the army, I was in a mountain and the skiers unit. So I was in the army for 7 years, more than 7 years, and I was in the mountain for 3-4 years.
Yeah, I mean, the Gredos Mountains are amazing, because you've got waterfalls. I mean, we just hiked about 15-20 minutes, didn't we, from the cars when we went, but unbelievable. What a beautiful landscape, and very lovely. Okay, we're coming slightly off track with this next question, but we're going to go through them. You're here, let's talk. Murray asks, I'm interested in focus and EV bracketing explained. That's a really good question, Murray, because obviously it is very difficult to explain everything in one go. So we can't, with HDMI, we can't show focus bracketing in camera, can we? Because the focus bracketing is HDMI'd out. Let's have a look. Tito, have you got the other one up there?
Yeah, we have a couple of cameras. I have both menus. I don't know what camera has more, right?
Yes.
But I will show you the new menu, right? Yeah. And the only problem is because I have an HDMI cable. The high result Live ND, Live GND, I can work on it, but I can't work with the focus stack in HDR, multiple exposure, and also the bracketing menus. You see, I cannot go in. But let me show you, or let me explain briefly how it works. We have in the OM1 Mark II, in the Camera 2 menu, we have 3 pages, you see? So in the third page, we have all of the bracketing modes for auto exposure, for white balance, for flash, for ISO, for out filters, and for focus, but just bracketing. There is no option to stack here. If we want to stack the focus, because the focus stacking needs also a focus bracketing, we have to go to the first page. In the first page, we have the focus stacking here, which cannot be activated now because of the cable, you see. And how it works. When but all of the bracketings means that the camera will shoot a sequence of shots. In the case of the exposure, we can configure the camera to change in steps of 1/3, 2/3, or one complete EV step. And we can also decide if we want the camera to shoot 3 frames, 5 frames, or even 7 frames. There are several combinations to do that. In the case of the focus bracketing, we don't have limit. Well, we have a limit. We can shoot up to 999 images, and we can stack them later in the computer. If we need, especially if we are shooting extreme macro, where we need 200, 300, or 400 images to be stacked. But in the field, for example, macro in the field, or for 1, 2 times of magnification, probably we will be enough with 7, 8, or 10 images. The OM1 Mark II will allow us to shoot up to 15 images, and the camera will automatically stack them. It will shoot. We will get the raw files, all of the raw files, and we will get a final JPEG image with the final stacking, more or less. Claire? How I did it?
Yeah, absolutely. And also, just to let you know, Murray, if you go back through our back catalogue on YouTube, there are sessions on macro. There was an AMA on macro where, as I said, we can't plug cameras in because it's the one thing that doesn't show when you have HDMI. And obviously, to show the back of the camera, you need to plug it into HDMI. But there are lots and lots and lots of macro workshops and sort of back catalogue that you can quickly jump in. I know you did one, Tito. I did one. I know for sure David did one. So there's lots out there hoping that you could pick that up. Okay. Tim says new website looks good. Thanks, Tim. So far, my account, it's all good. That's what we like to hear. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Tim. As I suspected.
Exactly. Let's have a look. This is an interesting question. Oh, hey, there's a statement here. Michael says, I haven't seen a good demo of Live ND like that before. It's a lot more useful than I thought it would be. You know, Michael, like any of these things, when you first, like with Starry Sky AF, when that first came, I thought, what? but it works, and it, for me, it is just the gem of gems. I mean, it really is unbelievable. I did customer says, or Mogan's Jaeger says, what is the minimum shutter speed for handheld high res landscape photography to avoid leaf movement? Tito.
The minimum shutter speed,
Handheld high res.
Yeah, in the high res and the handheld high res, you can select whatever image, whatever shutter speed you want. There's no
hold it at, basically.
Yeah, it's different than the tripod, because in the tripod mode, the camera needs time to move. Should move the sensor, should move the sensor, and the whole time, the complete time, is about 1 second. But in the case of the handheld, the camera doesn't need that. So you can select whatever shutter speed you need.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the joy of the handheld version. Like you say, the tripod version works differently. The tripod works, the sensor physically moves in half pixel increments. And that's why it needs to be on a tripod.
Sorry, Claire. Maybe Morgan's Jagger asked that because we told that even you can shoot portraits and you can take pictures of people. And we say that because it makes sense what Jorgen asked, because you can select the maximum shutter speed you have in the camera, but because of its stacking mode, the camera also needs to do that, and we shoot 120 frames per second. So all of the subjects in the field, in movement, action shooting, which can be freezed in 125 of a second, can be shot by the handheld. That's the calculation, more or less.
Yeah, for sure. We got a question from Photomography. The OM5 has the same sensor as the EM1 Mark III. Does the high-res mode also take 16 seconds to complete the composite, or is it faster? Definitely faster. We've had processor updates, algorithm updates, all sorts of updates, and it's so much faster. I mean, the very first high-res mode, or HHR as we call it, was slow. It was that initial sort of, not beta version, but when you first bring something out, there's always going to be room for improvement. 3, 4, 5, 6 years down the line, it is literally a couple of seconds from start to end. And not even that, is it, Tito? It's really, really fast now. And obviously the handheld is even faster than the tripod version. But for sure, he says he's considering the OM5 versus the OM3 because I want something smaller than the OM1 body. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. The OM5 or the OM3, either of those will deliver much, much faster than the E series, for sure.
Yeah, the decision will depend on probably on the weight and the size of the camera, but also consider that the OM3 is more advanced than the OM5 because you have the same sensor and same processor than OM1 Mark II. So all of the processes will be even faster than in the OM5. But probably, maybe, very likely, the OM5 is enough for you. But consider not only the size of the weight, but also how you will handle and you will manage the features and functions. And if you're a landscape photographer or you want to use computational photography of our cameras, and also even though we have live ND in both, you will miss live EG&D in the OM5, just as information, and also the live ND, you don't have same steps in the OM1 Mark II, and the OM3 has 7 steps and 6 steps in the case of the OM3, 7 steps in the case of the OM1 Mark II. In the case of the OM5, you will have 4. Take into consideration all of those little details, because even though you have the same features, the power of the features are not the same because of this processor.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, lots of questions coming in, and I lost myself there because I was busy putting this ticker tape up across the bottom. This is a really interesting question from Photomography again. Would it be possible to request OM that when focus stacking is on, instead of getting all the raw frames plus a JPEG sandwich, we get the raw frames and a raw sandwich. It has been asked before. It has been requested. You can make your own raw sandwich if you need to. You can take all those images and put them together. You know, that's the joy of it. The JPEG is there for ease of use if you're not into post-processing, if you just want that final picture ready to go, and the raw frame. So I think the problem with that processing 15 images in camera raw and then making one big raw, that is a lot of power. That's pulling a lot of processing power. How long does that take? I mean, I'm sure it's possible, but it's about what these things take to bring it to market. If that took 20 seconds, you would be put off. It would not be something you could bring to market. So it is about processing speed. Is the camera locked up while it's doing that stuff? If you know you can't, you just have to hold the camera for 15, 20 seconds while that happens. So all these things are theoretically possible. It's how the processor, the power, and all those other things make it accessible on our cameras for daily use, you know. And I'm sure that if it's possible, it would be brought to market for sure. But as I said, we don't know what people are working on. But when you look at processing power, that's the thing that makes things not only better image quality wise, but faster. So it's a good question. But for sure, it's definitely not something at this moment in time that the processors, I'm sure, could handle. So what do you think about that one, Tito?
Yeah, I fully agree with you, Claire, because most of the time it's not it not depends on only the technology or what's the technology behind. Because I have another example. Some people ask, when we talk about the high resolution mode, we get 80 megapixels raw file, and we get in the handheld case we get 50 megapixels raw file. And this is not as far as I know, this is not a limitation of the technology. That means that in the handheld mode, if we want to have 80 megapixels, as in the tripod mode, if we want to have 80 megapixels raw file, the processing time will be so long that it doesn't work. That's the problem. It doesn't work. So when we talk about portability, when we talk about lightweight, in the case of the own system, in our DNAs, we try to be as much portable as we can in all of the terms, in terms of information, in terms of data traffic, in terms of processing time, and also in terms of weight and size. Not only.
I mean, interestingly, Charlie has said once you manipulate the data, it's no longer a raw image, right? You know, so putting 15 raws on top of each other and then trying to make that a sandwich, whoa, you know, that is like, even I'm thinking, whoa, that's pretty hard work. Anyway, let's go back. Apologies, I have to go back up the scroll a bit. Interesting one from Steve. Did you said that image that you showed, do you know the settings? Did you know what the exposure setting on the Milky Way shot that you showed, and is it a single image?
Yeah. Are you asking me?
Yes.
Yeah, for the Milky Way, I'm not an expert, but the Milky Way, if you want to have the stars as a point, and you don't have a mount on the tripod to follow the Earth movement, you have to use the highest ISO.
I think the gentleman's asking the image that you showed earlier, the one with the one that you showed earlier. Yeah. Do you know the settings of that, or is that
no? But I can look for them.
Yeah.
Let me show. Probably we are talking about
beautiful
this one.
If you don't follow
this one, right?
Our Spanish ambassador, Photo Moisha, you should. He is the most amazing photographer. I will find, while Tito's talking about this image, I will dig out his Instagram for amazing images. Go follow this Spanish OM system ambassador. Tito, take it away. Talk to about.
Yeah, I will say the Milky Way. Also, it depends on the lens you're using, the focal length you're using, because the start will start to be trails depending on the focal length, And in this case, I would say it's 64 megs at 6400 ISO. And I think this has been shot with the 8-25. I can look for the details later. And it's the exposure time is no longer than 15 seconds, I think, but I'm not sure.
Okay. And is it?
I will look at it.
Okay. Sorry. And is it a stacked image, do you think, or is that one long image?
No. This is. Let me. I'm sorry. This is a mess.
It's okay. I'm just putting Photo Moishi's Instagram into this chat so you can see. Go and visit his page, like his page. He is absolutely incredible landscape photographer. And we've got we've got some amazing landscape photographers. But Photo Moishi's is he does these beautiful ethereal prints. It's just stunning. He does a lot of the boats and the fishing nets on the water. And yeah, they're pretty awesome. Did you find it, Tito?
Yeah, Claire, this is one shot. It's 25 seconds. f1.8 ISO 2500 ISO, and this is just one shot.
Wow, that's amazing, isn't it? I mean, then this is it, right? Hope we answered your question. Okay, so sorry about that. I'm going to just go back down to where I was. Whilst I'm thinking about it, and whilst I got distracted, let's look at events. If you haven't been on an OM system event, or if you haven't been to our events page, you really should take a look. At the moment, there are photo walks all across Europe. They're in Spain, they're in Sweden, they are in the UK, they are Spain. Have you done all yours, Tito, or are you still wading through your photo walks? Have you still got many to come?
Yeah, I have two more. I have two more photo walks for the OM3 next week.
Brilliant. So we are doing.
We've been covering the whole country, and we've in the middle, in the south, in the islands, and next week we will go to the north.
Wonderful. Here in the UK, they're not on our events page. We are letting London Camera Exchange host them. So if you were thinking, hang on a minute, I haven't seen those photo walks in the UK, that's not very good. I have put the link in there. It is the London Camera Exchange. They're doing all the bookings because they have many stores across the UK. So we've done the photo walks through London Camera Exchange. They're at Guildford and the Strand and Derby and all the other stores, Portsmouth and Southampton and so on and so on. So get yourself down on an OM3. It's specifically an OM3. If you're thinking, oh, I'd like to buy an OM3, but I'm not really sure, it's £5. You can come along. You get to play with an OM3 for a couple of hours and learn some of its features. And you get to see myself or Craig and just have a catch up. And if you just fancy a couple of hours out, check that link out. And I'm sure in the US they have the same. So take a look at the events page. I've put it in there, and you can see all the trips that are coming up, the photo days, the OM3 photo walks. If you're thinking, hang on a minute, I've been to the events page and there's lots of languages there I don't understand, go to the very top where it says filter and filter the language that you are more comfortable in. If you find that you look and you think, hang on, it looks a bit busy, just literally filter the English one and it allows all the English ones to come through, or filter it to a Spanish, or filter it. And that makes that journey to the events page and looking for the events a little more sort of easy on the eye. So keep that in mind. Sorry, let's go back. I'm going to put this one on there. For multi-day hiking, primary landscape photo, but also some wildlife, what camera would be best suited? Focus for me is weight and weather sealing. I mean, Eric, this is our bag. Weight and weather sealing, our two core features. Over and above, all our cameras are, IP53. Our lenses are 90% of our lenses are weather sealed. If it was me and weight was, weight was the ultimate choice, then I would probably go OM5. And it really does depend whether I'm going to take one lens or two, what if it's going to be light or dark. I would look at the 9-18, but I would also look at the 8-25 because it's super wide for nighttime landscape as well. So that's sort of night and day landscape. But if you were looking for telephoto, it's got to be this, hasn't it? This is our latest 40-150, and it's tiny. And so that is a 300mm lens. It locks in place. It's absolutely lovely. It's f4. It's beautiful for mountain shots and for anything like that. Let me show you this one. Ta-da! So this was taken by our landscape photographer. And let me just put that on full screen for you guys. You can see that was taken with the 40-150. Ben uses the 40-150 and the 8-25. And so for sure, I would be looking at something like that. What do you think, Tito?
Yeah, I was also going to show you some images because I love the 40-150 f4 in this case. If you want to save weight, if you want to save space in your backpack, the 40-150 is great. This image has been taken with the 40-150, but also I have a couple of samples from the same here. This is taken with the 40mm, and this is taken with the 150mm. Same lens, wide angle shot, long length shot, from the same place. You see?
That's amazing. That's the 40-150, yeah?
Really versatile.
Wow.
But also, when we talk about wildlife, Claire, what kind of wildlife? Birding, bears, wild dogs? I don't know. But also, same day, this picture and this picture is 3 meters far from this one. Because the 40-150mm, our system, our lenses, one of the advantages we have is we have a minimal focal distance, very, very short. This is just 70 centimeters from the subject to the sensor. So this is not a macro shot. This is a shot taken with a 40-150mm f4.
Yeah.
So,
and this is the drawback to telemacro, isn't it? Telemacro, I mean, you've got wide, you've got landscape, you've got wildlife, all in that one lens. I mean, it is an absolute stunner, isn't it?
And also mushrooms, fungi.
Of course, and fungi, exactly. Okay, Elena M. We've got 10 minutes, so we're gonna go for this question. How do you use Starry Sky AF? Can you show us on the OM1, please, Tito?
Sure. We have in the super control panel, we have in the focus cell, we have all of the modes. We have single AFs, continuous AF, manual focus, tracking, pre-MF, and here we have the Starry Sky. Starry Sky means that the camera will look for the stars and will focus on them. But in the menu, we can configure it in 2 modes. If we go to the menu, the AF menu, and we go to the Starry Sky AF settings, we can prioritize the speed or we can prioritize the accuracy. It does mean that in this case, the focusing will take a bit more time, but will be more accurate. And here it will be faster and maybe it's not so accurate. We will have the stars focused, but the infinite is very, very, very large. So the focus will not be so sharp than accuracy mode. I will say accuracy. If we are going to take a shot with a tripod and you have time, I will propose accuracy. And if you are shooting handheld, I will suggest you speed. And you will start the operation you can decide if you want to start the operation with the AF on button, the AF on button on the in the rear side of the camera, or the shutter release button. These are the options you have to configure the starry sky. It's really it's really fast and really accurate.
Yeah, and it is, honestly. I mean, my very first time I went out to photograph the Milky Way, I took 40 shots and 2 were in focus. I was so upset, like so cross, because this was way before Starry Sky F, and I was using manual focus assist, which you think is good enough, but it's not good enough for distance. You know, it's okay, but it's certainly not Starry Sky AF.
One more tip, Claire. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. One more tip in this case. It's important. Okay, this is not a nightscape. These are 3 views. But if you want to suppose the stars are at the top of the image, it's important that you have the AF target where the stars are. If you have the AF target in the ground, you will get in trouble.
Yeah, that's where it's going to focus, right? Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you are trying to focus the stars where the stars are not there.
Yeah.
And you're confusing the camera.
Right, exactly. I'm going to throw a little question out there. We always like to tackle some of these more difficult questions because, as I said, you know, this is what we're here for. We're here to help. Pete says, I wish OMSYSTEM would do more on promoting portrait and other types of photography. And I sort of interestingly was going through the comments and then saw another question came from Michael saying, I really enjoy street. Well, if you've been watching any of the socials, you will have noticed that we are booking photo walks. So street photography is back. For sure, the OM3 fits that bill. It's got all the Pen F buttons and more. It's got all the new stuff from the OM1. So it's like an OM1 Mark II, a Pen F, and an original film camera all blended into one. You know, I mean, it's got the best of everything. But this is the thing about photo walks and that if you do look, there are happening all over. This is going to be something that we do moving forward. There aren't hundreds of us. We're a tiny, tiny team. You know, Tito has the whole of Spain to cover as the only technical expert in Spain. PJ covers Poland. Tom covers Czech. You know, so we're a small team. I cover the UK. So we are a small team. But this is the plan now. So we are doing, I did a big portrait workshop at Park Cameras last week with Gavin Hoey. And Gavin Hoey's coming to the Wales and West show to do some portraits with multiple exposure. So it is happening. And just to let you know that, you know, it's... you know, it's all about the outdoor. Our main thing is in our nature. It's about outdoors, but that doesn't mean to say that we won't be doing local things in local stores when requested. All right. So I just thought I'd sort of say that. Okay, we've got 6 minutes left. Let me have a quick look at so many questions. Tim says, OM3 is amazing travel, street and portrait camera, having so much fun with it. I mean, that is an all-rounder, isn't it? That's sort of bringing the macro and the wildlife even in that sentence. So that's really nice, isn't it, Tito?
Yeah, I fully agree. I can't agree more because, you know, we have access to all of the cameras, but we also have our heart. And I've been a Pen F shooter for many years. And now I have found the OM3 as a new love for me. But of course, when I go outside for street photography, or I want to I want to go with a small bag and there's no wildlife involved, there's no birding involved, I go with my OM3 and a couple of 3 prime lenses with me because I enjoy a lot with the OM3 with the computational photography. Everything I have in the OM1 Mark II, I have it in the OM3, but now I have the CP button and it's more accessible, much easier to configure, much easier to customize the OM3 because we have more custom modes. If for those who doesn't know it, now we have a dial for still, for video and for quick and slow motion videos. And we have 5 custom modes. So we have 5 custom modes for video and 5 custom modes for stills, for photography. And we have created so many universes in the camera, and you have access to all of the computational photography just by pressing a button. So you don't need to assign so many functions to different C modes and different buttons as we do in the OM1 Mark II, which is great. But in this case, the OM3 is one step ahead in terms of configuration and customization. So I love it. But also, if I go for birding, for wildlife, and I need long lenses, blah blah blah, I will go with the OM1 Mark II.
Exactly.
But the OM3 is my love.
It's funny because it's always interesting, because if you've got everything to hand, then people would assume you just go for the flagship. You just pick up the OM1 and off you go. But that is not the case at all. Sometimes I've got my TG7 and that's all I'm taking. If I'm going walking with the dog and I'm literally just got my keys, my phone, and my TG7. I literally don't even take an interchangeable lens. So, it's okay to say, well, you've got everything at hand, but there are so many cameras, and the OM3 is versatile, the TG7 is, the weight. And so I think there's something for everyone there, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mickey, just to say, on the events page, it would be nice if we could filter in-person events by country. We have a new website being built. As you know, it went live today. This always comes in stages. There are lots of updates to be happened over the next year, 2 years, 3 years. You don't spend 2 years building a website. All this stuff will come. Bear with us. As I said, we're still only 4 years old. Doesn't sound a long time, but the OM system is in our 5th year, coming up for. So there's still a lot to happen. There's still a lot going on. So just bear with us, guys. And if there is photo walks going on in the US, they will be listed on the events page. So hopefully at some point you'll be able to get over to see Mike or Michela or any other team out there who are awesome. Okay, let's have a look now. I've spoken about the cashback, and I've told you you've only got 2 days for that. I've talked to you about all the events. I've told you that the website's up and coming. Tito, have you got anything coming up that you want to talk about before we disappear?
No, nothing special. I will stay here for hours, but not special.
We should one night. We should do like a sort of once a year. We should do like a sort of 3-hour session or something like that, shouldn't we? Where we just get guests coming in and going. One day, maybe Christmas, maybe in December we'll do an extra long feature version of the show. We will go back in and answer any comments, of course. But why don't we have a look at a couple of more landscape pictures or hiking pictures that you've got, Tito? Because I always love to end on images.
Yeah, I can show you. Let me run like a slideshow, because all of those things, the combination of the lenses we have now in the hiking promo and the computational photography are so powerful. For example, this is a 25 millimeters lens.
Nice.
Why it doesn't run? Okay. And also, I forgot to show you something, Claire, because when we talk about the light composite for star trails, light trails, all of those things, what happens during the day? And we can also use the light composite to be artists. If you are in the landscape, if you are hiking and the clouds are boring, the sky is so boring that you don't like it, and you want to create something special.
Yeah.
This is another picture from PhotoMotion with the light composite during the day. And because of the clouds were really boring, but if you are shooting for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, you will not burn the image because you are stacking new lights. And this is the result you can get. From a very boring scene, you can get a very, very exciting final image.
Oh, I love using cloud for live composite. It's such an incredible thing, because you don't have to have a 10 stopper on the front. You can just use live composite. So as Tito says, you just keep overlaying the base exposures. It doesn't blow out. And it's so much fun. And you can just leave it sat for play. So it is amazing to use, Tito, for sure.
And also this final image is not in promotion, but we don't talk much about the 75-300. And before, I don't remember who asked for lenses because he was going to hike, but also he was going to shoot some wildlife. 75-300 mil is a very, very light lens. It's not too bright, but it will help you to get some wildlife and also some landscape. This is in the Himalaya. Javier Camacho, one of our ambassadors, and he takes the 75-300 almost in all of the expeditions, because these distances are so large, are so huge in the high mountains, in the Himalaya, in Nepal, etc. If you see the people, two guys in the front, this is with 300 mils. This is the only way you can have a reference about the dimensions of the ice dimensions of the mountain with this lens. So, and I don't have more pictures, Claire.
I love looking at images. I mean, especially when I know they've been shot with our own kits, and you just sort of think, wow. Right, it's gone 8 o'clock. It's time for tea. Tito, it was wonderful, just you and I tonight. Thanks to the other team. They're all out working. They're all on shows in Prague, and PJ's on the road. Niels and Fanny are on the road. Thierry's on the road. Everybody's on the road apart from Tito and I. So thank you for joining us tonight. You've been a great audience. Thank you for sharing. I've popped the link in if you want to go head over onto the website. As I said, you only have 2 days left for cashback. I will go back in, myself and Tito go back in after a couple of days, and we go and answer any of those questions that we haven't been able to get to today. And we look forward. When are you on next, Tito? When's your next live?
My next live, we have to wait a couple of weeks, because next week we are still in person. We are still running in-person events. And the week later, I will make a break. So wonderful. Just in the middle of June.
Wonderful. And we've got lots of things coming up. We've got the Wales and West show coming up. We've got Bird Fair coming up in July. If you want to meet Tito, Tito's coming over for Bird Fair. Woo-hoo-hoo.
Yeah. The dream comes true. The dream comes true. I've been waiting for this opportunity, for this chance for years. Claire,
so let's hope it's what you expect. Also, Thomas is coming for so if you want to meet the guys from Europe, come up to the Bird Fair. As always, thank you for joining us. We do love it when you drop in, and no doubt we will see you again very soon. Tito, thanks for joining us. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Ciao.
Take care.